I'm building a desk for my wife because I stole her office. It's small, made of walnut, and might one day hold our kids' first big idea. Also, the grain runs the wrong way. On purpose. Welcome to the prettiest and maybe most meaningful thing I've ever built. Like all my projects, this one starts with milling the wood. But to save us both some time, I've documented that part separately. You'll find the link in the description. In that video, I also break down my tool costs and the break-even point if you're deciding between milling your own lumber or buying it pre-surfaced. For this build, I'm imagining a solid top with matching sides, kind of like a waterfall desk. And then I sculpt the whole thing into a smooth, flowing, slightly warped look, like the wood is casually draping itself over the frame. If that sounds a little confusing, you're probably right. I'm still figuring it out myself. But, of course, because it's my build, it can't just be another desk. I want to break a few conventions, like the direction of the wood grain. See, most desks have the grain running lengthwise, which looks great, but it bothers me when I move my mouse and it's cutting across the grain. Maybe that's just me being a bit OCD, but it got me wondering, why not flip it? What if the grain ran perpendicular to the desk's length, so the grain runs front to back? That way, when I'm moving my mouse forward and back, it glides with the grain instead of against it. And yes, I know this desk is not for me, but this design should, in theory, give the top a striking and unique look. But we'll see once it all comes together. So that's what I did. I cut 24-inch long pieces and glued them together across the desk's length. And I'm going to do the same for the waterfall sides too. To keep the desk from sagging over time, I'm dovetailing in a white oak support rail that runs underneath, perpendicular to the grain. It'll give the piece strength, allow for seasonal movement, and also peek out at the edges for a bit of contrasting detail. Finally, the waterfall sides will be box jointed into the top, for both structure and a little visual flair. That's the vision. We'll see how much of it survives contact with reality. Anyway, this desk is going to squeeze into a temporary, tight corner where my wife can work for now. I've kind of taken over her current space, but truth be told, she's not a big fan of it anyway. So this desk has to stay compact. No more than 36 inches long, 24 deep, and 30 high. But next year, it'll probably become our younger child's first desk. Their launchpad into homework, doodles, and daydreams, Lego instructions, and who knows what else. My design process usually starts right after dinner. The kids demand their dessert and a Marvel episode. That's my cue to grab a pencil and sketch at the dining table. There's something about the clatter of spoons and superhero dialogue in the background that makes it the perfect time to imagine wood joints and proportions. Before that, of course, comes the what should I build next conversation, first with myself, usually while I'm in the shower solving the world's problems, and then with my wife. She's practical. She suggests things like a small teak tray for her washroom accessories, or a cutting board for the kitchen. You know, useful stuff, but not exactly YouTube gold. Or maybe I'm wrong. If you think those kinds of builds do deserve their moment in the spotlight, let me know in the comments. I'm all ears. So I gently steer the conversation. I say, what if we buy you that tray online, and instead I build a desk, the one you mentioned needing the other day? It's a compromise, but also a win-win, because a desk isn't just another piece of furniture. You see, office furniture, including desks, actually rank 6th in overall consumer furniture spending. In North America, the desk market has grown substantially since 2020, and it's projected to grow steadily as hybrid work and home-based learning become more permanent. Consumers are shifting from generic mass-produced desks to more functional, aesthetic, and durable options. Walnut desks are especially popular in the high-end custom segment, where buyers value longevity, craftsmanship, and style. And this demand peaks cyclically. Back to school season, tech upgrades, and yes, during pandemics, when everyone realizes their kitchen table isn't cutting it. There's also a growing interest in heirloom quality workspaces. Furniture that doesn't just look good on Zoom, but also lasts generations. So there's a market for desks that carry meaning, not just monitors. As a maker, it makes sense to craft something that speaks to both need and nostalgia. And numbers aside, I believe desks hold a deeper meaning. They're where we create, plan, write, learn, and build. They carry the weight of ideas. So if I'm going to build something, I want it to be something like that. To really understand why desks matter, we've got to rewind. Way, way back. We're talking over 4,000 years ago. That simple, sturdy surface we all lean on to get things done, it's got a surprisingly deep history. The word desk actually comes from the Latin desca, meaning a table to write on. Pretty straightforward, sure, but the story gets more interesting from there. See, even though ancient civilizations like the Greeks, Chinese, and Mesopotamians didn't have what we'd call a proper desk, they still had the same basic need: a place to think, to write, to create. Turns out, the desk has been part of our human story for a long time, evolving right alongside us. The earliest known version of a writing desk shows up around 2000 BC in ancient Egypt. Picture a scribe perched on a stool or squatting on the ground, working away on papyrus scrolls, with a simple sloped wooden board. No drawers, no fancy joinery, just a basic, dedicated surface, and honestly, that's the soul of a desk right there. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and desks start getting fancier. As literacy spread and books became more common, desks began to feature drawers, compartments, and little nooks to store precious writing tools. It was the medieval equivalent of a junk drawer. By the 1600s, desks were status symbols. Bureaus made of walnut, fancy compartments, a flex of wealth and intellect. The 18th century was all about communication: letters, ledgers, reports. So desks adapted. One popular style, the partner's desk. Big, flat, and built with drawers on both sides so two people could work across from each other. Enter the Industrial Revolution, and boom, desks went mainstream. Offices became a thing, and with them came mass-produced desks for the new wave of white-collar workers. Paper got cheaper, typewriters heavier, and desks had to toughen up. In came sturdier designs and eventually steel desks, built to take a beating and still stand strong. Standing desks aren't new either. Da Vinci, Dickens, and Hemingway all stood while they worked. Maybe pacing makes the brain go faster. So, from ancient Egypt to open plan startups, the desk has been a steady companion to our ideas, inventions, and ambitions. It's more than a piece of furniture. It's a stage for your thoughts, a workshop for your hands, and a quiet witness to everything from epic breakthroughs to homework, doodles, and daydreams. I'll get back to my deep dive on the quiet significance of desks in a moment. But first, let me explain what's going on here. After I had sculpted away the excess, I noticed small chunks of walnut had gone missing, so I found the best matches I could and glued them in a couple of places. Also, I ran short on the white oak support rail. Classic amateur move. Didn't measure properly, didn't think a few steps ahead. But hey, mistakes are just design features waiting to be named. So I'm calling this one a dimple. Dimples are considered charming in people, why not in furniture? And since the goal for this desk, right after structural integrity, is to be pretty, well, I'd say we're right on track. Okay, so speaking of epic breakthroughs, here's a desk with some serious history, the Resolute desk. Made from salvaged oak from a British Navy ship stuck in Arctic ice, returned to Britain by Americans, gifted back to the US by Queen Victoria, now it lives in the Oval Office. JFK Jr. famously played under it. It's diplomacy, history, and playroom all in one. And here's a fun fact. If you've got a spare $110,000, you can actually buy a replica from the White House gift shop. Talk about bringing history home in style. Now, if you want a desk that helped launch a nation, look no further than Thomas Jefferson's portable writing desk. Used to draft the Declaration of Independence, compact, slanted, and hiding a drawer for ink and revolution. Made by a Philadelphia cabinet maker, proof that small desks can spark big change. Jefferson kept it with him for 50 years. Today it sits in the Smithsonian, quiet and unassuming, but it might just be the most powerful little desk in history. Or Charles Dickens's writing desk, where he scribbled Scrooge into existence. Same desk, same time, same furious writing every day. Today it lives in a London museum, quietly reminding us that imagination can be routine. Turns out this cleanup here I attempted is deeper than I thought. It probably goes all the way through to the other side. So I've decided to lean in, commit to the chaos, and punch a hole straight through. No resin, no patch, just a little air pocket of whimsy, like a woodpecker's calling card in Walnut. Since we're talking desks, let's talk materials. Walnut is like the king of desk wood. It's easy to work with, holds crisp edges, takes stain beautifully, although I would never, and resists warping. Bonus, it smells great when you're working on it. Over time, walnut develops this rich, deep patina that just screams sophistication. It's durable, moisture resistant, and built to last. Perfect for a desk that'll be passed down for generations. Now, I usually reach for black resin or CA glue to fill cracks. It's bold, reliable, and hides a multitude of sins. But this time, I gave walnut wood filler a shot. And to my surprise, I actually love how it turned out. Once sanded and finished, it blends in with a quiet confidence. Not shouting like resin, but still catching the light just right. It feels honest, solid, intentional. Now, wood plugs, that's a humbling practice. I do my best to match them, but sometimes, like you'll see, they stand out a little more than I'd like. Other times, they practically disappear. I'm learning that perfection in woodworking isn't about hiding every flaw. It's about learning which flaws to lean into. And honestly, I think that's true far beyond the shop. And finally, the bow ties. Technically, this desk didn't need them. The top is stable, the joinery is doing its job, but since it's a gift from my wife, it felt right to dress it up, to wrap it, in a way, with a bow. In my world, bow ties are the jewelry of woodworking. Not always essential, but always noticed. They don't carry the structure, they carry the sentiment. They remind me that beauty doesn't have to justify itself with function. Sometimes it's enough to exist for its own sake. And in a world obsessed with utility and return on investment, that feels refreshingly human. And the more I build, the more I realize life's the same. We spend so much time trying to present clean edges, no gaps, no rough spots, no mismatched plugs. But some things aren't meant to be erased. Some things are meant to show, to remind us that progress isn't always pretty and growth rarely comes from a perfect cut. I mean, for me, growth has come from making mistakes and how I handle the moments that don't go according to plan. And the funny thing is, finance isn't all that different. You can budget every dollar, plan every investment, stress over every decision, but real life still has grain direction, still has movement, still surprises you with a crack here or a curve there. So I think what matters in both woodworking and finance is that the magic is in the long game. It's in the compounding of skill, of time, of small decisions done well. A dovetail here, a smart choice there. It all adds up. So, that's the desk. Not perfect, but full of intention. It started as a peace offering, morphed into a design experiment, and maybe, just maybe, became something that'll outlast us. It's compact, it's a little crooked, and grain wise, completely backwards. But it holds together. And if that's not a metaphor for life, marriage, or raising kids, I don't know what is. Thanks for watching and spending time in the shop with me. If you like the build, the backstory, or even just the box joints, give it a thumbs up. and consider subscribing. I've got more pieces in the works, some practical, some poetic, and a few that might be both. Drop a comment if you've ever built something that turned out more meaningful than you expected, or if you've ever made a peace offering out of walnut. Until next time, keep making, keep thinking, and don't be afraid to let the grain run the wrong way.
Oh my goodness, I love the bows. Love this dimple.
Guys, they're so cute, and the contrast is beautiful. Beautiful gift wrapped for me. I love it.